The following program is brought to you courtesy of a grant provided by the Bank of Princeton.
Good evening, I'm Lou Goldstein, and welcome to Focus On. This week's my guests are Alan Dutch Deckert and Joan George, and they're both in the real estate field, and we're focusing this week on real estate and the housing market. Dutch is basically the president of the New Jersey Association of Realtors, and he has been a realtor since 1981, and he's the broker co-owner of Ferguson Deckert Real Estate in Avalon, New Jersey. He's also served as president of the Cape May County Association of Realtors and was selected as the local association's Realtor of the Year in 1990 and again in 2001. He also serves as the National Association of Realtors Director, a position which he also served in from 2002 to 2008. Dutch, welcome to the show.
Good night. Good to be here.
That's great. And Joan has been a realtor for 28 years and works at RE/MAX Tri-County right here in Hamilton. And she's into the concept of a team concept of real estate, which includes 3 buyer's agent, one which I believe is bilingual, and a full-time marketing associate. Joan was born and raised in the Trenton area, and her family has owned and operated the Knott's Bicycle Shop for over 30 years. So Joan, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
Well, we have a lot of things to talk about in the real estate market, and I'd like to get to some of our first questions first. Today our focus is on real estate and the housing market, and a lot has happened over the last 3 years in the housing market. And I was hoping that both of you could talk a little bit about what has happened in the last 3 years. People are wondering, why is it so hard to either sell a house, or why have things changed, and why have prices gone down, and what's going on right now that's so different for people that they're a little frustrated and trying to find reasons why things are different now than they were in the past.
Well, Lou, it's back in 2008 we were just really kind of starting this slide here, and I think the one difference in today's market, you're seeing some optimism now. There was a lot of pessimism a few years ago. There's some optimism in the market now. For a financially capable buyer, now's a great time to get involved in the market. You've got good interest rates, you've got a good inventory, you've got a good selection, and so it's a good time to get involved now.
Is it a good time to sell?
It's a good time to sell if you're serious about it and are going to listen to your realtor and price your property properly the way it should be in today's market. Yeah, then it can be.
Okay.
I think there's always been 2 markets, the buyer's market and the seller's market. And right now we are deeply entrenched in the buyer's market. The statistics have said to us, which I thought was interesting, since they've been keeping statistics, this is the first time that the prices are down and the interest rates are down. So it is a great time to buy.
Okay. And we're talking about the trends right now. Can you talk a little more about the trends and how they've affected buying and selling in New Jersey, both negatively and positively?
Well, I think one of the trends that we've seen is a growing inventory, and on the market, and that has certainly affected some of the selling. You've got sellers that are anxious that are out there now that have had their properties on the market for a while, and because things haven't been moving as quickly, you got a lot of competition if you're a seller out there today. So that's one thing that's changed some, that's for sure.
Okay.
I think also another trend is this is not a time to dabble in the real estate market. If you're serious about selling, this is the time to be in it. But if sometimes a client will say to me, well, I just want to try and see what happens. This is not that time.
Not the time to be
That's right. That's a good point. This is not the time to just dabble and try. If you can put it out, if you're going to be selling a house now, you got to be serious. And again, listen to your realtor and the advice that they're giving you as far as pricing and things like that.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that. When you're ready to sell, and basically, why use a realtor? What are the benefits, and how do you choose the right agent for you?
You use, all real estate's local, and it's a little bit cliche-ish when we say it, but I'm from the shore. I'm very familiar with my market at the shore. Joan is, from the area around here, and she's very familiar with that. So you need to talk to somebody that knows what's going on, right. In your local market. The New Jersey Association of Realtors has set up we have a Real Story campaign, and we've to promote home ownership and to combat some negativity that's come up over the years, we started our Real Story campaign. As part of that campaign, we have a website, realstorynj.com. And on that website, there's a lot of tips for buyers and sellers. There's buying calculators, there's selling calculators, so you can get an idea what it might cost, like for transfer tax and things like that if you're a seller. There's also a Find a Realtor function there. And the New Jersey Association of Realtors is very proud of that. We've worked to develop that function, and a potential buyer or seller can go on there and look for a realtor that works in their area, maybe in their specialty, even languages, you know, what language they need to have spoken. They can go on there and search by zip codes. So that's one way that you can really, you know, work to select a realtor. And like I said earlier, you know, all real estate's local, and the local realtors in your market, they know what's going on, and that's who you need to talk to.
I also feel very strongly that you need to know who your realtor is. You know, you don't go in the Yellow Pages and get somebody to give you a haircut, and you don't go in the Yellow Pages to get a heart surgeon. You get referrals, personal referral.
Yep, that's a good point, yeah. If they did a good job for your neighbors or friends, you know, that's, as realtors, that's one of our, you know, best sources of business, and it's a very, you know, good form of flattery to, you know you've done a good job and they gave your name to somebody else.
Besides word of mouth, how can you check about the background of any realtor, you know, and their past transactions and dealings?
You know, a good way now, certainly in today's world, is to go on the internet. Boy, you could just Google it. You know, you can Google their name, you can look at their history, you can look at their website. You know, it's all out there. We as realtors want to have as much information out there. A lot of realtors now are using social media. They're using Facebook. They're using Twitter, and you know, part of it is, some of it is self-promotion, yeah. But I mean, you can really see some background. You can also check with your local board or association of realtors too. You know, you can touch base with them. They all have websites also, and they can give you information on you know, a specific salesperson too. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, Joan, I want to ask you a question. Would you consider this a good time to purchase or sell a home?
Purchase a home, absolutely. Sell a home, it's according to your personal circumstances. You know, if you're being transferred and you have to move, you have to do that. But if you bought 5 years ago in the height of the market, I'm probably going to be sitting across that table from you, giving you information that you really don't want to hear. You know, because everybody always says, oh, but my neighbor sold their house for, you know, 3 years ago. Well, I always say that ship has sailed.
Right.
This is a different time, and we have to deal with the cards that we have. And so a seller right now, you have to be realistic. What someone sold 3 years ago, 4 years ago, has no impact whatsoever on what that number is going to be that we're going to put on your home.
I think sometimes people will say, well, the house around the corner sold for X amount of dollars. And you know, my house is just like that house around the corner. So why isn't my price the same as the house around the corner? Or better yet, they may say, you know what, I'm trying to sell my house for, say, $250,000. Okay, but the most anybody is offering me is $235,000, and I don't want to take a loss. What advice do you give to individuals on that?
Well, that's a very simple situation because, you know, I make a joke sometimes. I'm still waiting for the guy that tells me he has the worst house in the neighborhood, because everybody has the best house, and it's better than the guy that got $250,000
Right.
you know, a few years ago. But when we're sitting down talking about it, the internet has really been a big impact. The iPad has been wonderful because now I can pull up that neighbor's house who has granite countertops and you have Formica, and they have hardwood floors and you have wall-to-wall carpeting in red and gold and avocado green. And they have stainless steel appliances and you don't. And that impacts what the buyer is willing to pay. The buyers are very young and they want it all. They don't want to buy this house and then buy another house. They want that 4-bedroom, 2.5-bath colonial now.
Okay. So if I was selling my home today and I was thinking of putting it on the market for sale, what advice would you give me to prepare the house for sale? What type of marketing strategies, or what should I consider doing if I'm thinking of putting my house up for sale tomorrow?
You want to look good. I mean, we tell all our sellers, Lou, that you want to be the winner of the beauty contest and you want to win the price war. That's what you want to do. You want to win this battle on two fronts.
This congeniality is not good.
That's right. That's right. We want you to be. So, you know, the first thing is you want to really take a look at your house, take a good look at it, make sure it's got curb appeal. If there's any issues inside, if you've had any leaks or anything like that come up, that's not only is the leak fixed, but the damage inside has been taken care of and repainted over, everything looking good. So there's no questions when the buyer, a potential buyer takes a walk through the house. And again, as we said earlier, listen to the advice of your realtor. They should be putting together a market analysis, comparative market analysis on your property and seeing what similar properties are priced at, what your competition is, what they've sold for, and take their recommendations. You really need to do that. You really need to price your house properly in today's world if you want it to sell.
Okay. Joan, any?
When I actually, and I've been doing it for years, but it's never been more relevant than today, I have a pre-printed list that I call my honeydew list. And we go room by room, and we take a look. And the other thing is I usually take the sellers outside, across the street, and I want them to look at their house, because they forget. They duck in front of a tree under to go into the garage, and buyers don't want to duck under a tree to go in a garage. So you need to have the landscaper come. You need to have some mulch put. And you know how, when's the last time you walked across the street and looked at your house? Never. Now that's what the buyer is going to see when they pull up.
Right.
So that's why we address that from day one.
So it doesn't hurt to walk around your neighborhood either
That's
and look
right.
at other homes
That's
and
right.
see exactly what they're doing.
No, that's a good point.
Yeah, so it gives you that perspective, that focal point of just stepping back for a second and looking at other homes and then coming to your house and saying, okay, what can I do to improve it?
From the moment they pull up in front of your house, they're making their decision. And so you want to give that, I call it the wow factor. You want to have that wow factor. They say, they want to walk through the front door. And when they get in, they don't want a bevy of boots in the hallway. All those things need to be put away. And it's just common sense, but sometimes you have your seller hat on, and you're hurt. Your feelings are hurt. Well, this is how we have it, but the way you live in a house is not the way you market a house.
No, that's true. You can't take it personal.
Right.
You can't take it personal what the potential buyer says, and what your realtor's telling you. You need to just, as Joan said, put your best foot forward and be looking really good.
What's the average now for selling a house? I mean, how many days on the market is the average for a typical house to sell? And what's the value of the internet versus newspapers, advertisements?
As I had said earlier, all real estate's local now. My market is down at the shore, Avalon, Stone Harbor. Single families, average days on market, as of the beginning of April was about 294 days. So, just under a year there. Condo townhouses, we're seeing a little more activity. We don't have as much inventory there, but there is more of it moving. So it's a little bit less, maybe like 262, I think, something like that for the average time on market there. So that's that's where that's going. It's interesting with us because our market doesn't primarily live at the shore, and so we do an awful lot of advertising on the internet. We're doing more on the internet now than we used to. It used to be just newspaper, right. But now we're doing an awful lot of advertising on internet. And I know in the 2010 National Association of Realtors Buyers Survey, Home Buyers Survey, the biggest percentage or the largest percentage of where a buyer found their property, first found their property, was on the internet, and it was in the 30s, maybe mid 30%, something like that. So we're going more in that direction now. I mean, everybody with smartphones and everything else, they come to town, they pull out their phone, they Google, real estate Avalon, bang, what do you got? And that's when we're looking to pull up and get in front of potential buyers.
So you have to be technically savvy too.
Definitely you do. Yep. Because the buyers certainly are, as Jonas said, they're getting younger, and they a lot of these buyers, they don't even know what life is like without a computer or a cell phone.
It's making us younger.
Yeah,
That's right.
it's making us have to be younger.
The Mercer County area, we're probably at around 200 days on the market.
Oh yeah.
But now the opposite for us, the condos and townhouses take longer because folks are opting to go for the single-family home rather than the townhouse condo. They can buy more at this point because they put the association fee in, and their dollar goes a little bit further.
Is there a better time of the year to look at homes or to sell homes? As far as if you're a seller, a good time to put it on the market is, say, in the fall, or a good time for a buyer is, say, the spring? I don't know. Is there a better time of year?
So we find spring is always the biggest, our time down at the shore, because everybody's looking to get in for the summer. traditionally, I know that the fourth quarter is a tough time of year to put things on the market because people are just, they have a lot, unless they're involved in a corporate environment and have to find a property, you know, have to find a home to live in. A lot of people are just all caught up, you know, in holidays and things like that around that time of year. So, you know, we find the spring, summer season is usually our best season, definitely.
That's good. Now, I know the economy has affected a lot of people, you know, and the rate of unemployment in the United States is still hovering around, national rate is around 9%. And I know that's affected a lot of people, and not having a job, the ability to pay on their mortgages, and a lot of people, unfortunately, you know, have fallen behind on their mortgages or can no longer afford, you know, to pay their mortgages. You know, what options are available to them if, you know, you're unable to make mortgage payments? You know, what should you do?
Well, the first thing you should do is call your lender. Don't be, you know, the secret, keep it a secret. Call them up. They have what's called loss mitigation. All of the lenders have now put together a program with this problem in mind. They all have loss mitigation departments. It used to be the old customer service, and you'd go through the process and be on hold. It doesn't work that way anymore. They recognize that this is an issue, a hot button issue. The loan modification is available. They will tell you, they send you paperwork, and again, that is another avenue that is available to you through your lender. There's no cost for this. You can call them up, they'll send you the package, they'll work with you to fill the package out and get it back to them. They have, I think there's 3 programs right now in place with the loan modification. One obviously is to reduce the rate, your interest rate. One is to give you maybe a 3-month period that you don't have to pay, and they put it on the back end of the mortgage. And the third is when they suggest that you do a short sale on your property so that you can sell the property for less money than you owe without any legal problems following you after the sale.
And from a consumer standpoint, that's a little better as far as your credit report is concerned. Your to go through a short sale process as opposed to foreclosure. So if you can, you know, if you could maybe work that avenue out with your lender, that's a good thing too.
Just go over that short sale again, because I think a lot of people don't really understand the concept of a short sale.
Well, a short sale, it says, Joan said, if you can work with your bank and they'll agree to take less money than you owe on the property to get out of the property and to move on, if you can work something out like that, you're better off from a consumer standpoint because, you know, as I just said, foreclosure proceedings, and if you get foreclosed upon and lose your property that way, can really have a negative effect on your credit history. So you're definitely better if you could work out a short sale type situation. Also, I had mentioned earlier about Najjar's Real Story campaign and our website, realstorynj.com. There's a lot of sellers' tips there and some credit counseling areas too, or topics that you can get covered. And it's consumer oriented and you know, consumers can go there to look for information about that if they're coming into a problem like this too. So that's a good place to look also to get some counseling.
Lou, earlier you mentioned about you know, finding an agent and how someone should do that, and we talked about referral. I do want to say to people, you should interview your agents. It might not be a fit. You know, I tell people it's a marriage, short term, but it's, you know, a relationship that you're going to have communication, and this is your largest investment. And sometimes you sit down with people and you're not comfortable, and it's not the right fit. So don't feel, you know, if somebody says, oh, I want to interview 2 or 3 agents, I'm fine with that. You know, let's sit down and see, because you have to do the things that I request of you, and I have to do the marketing to keep you happy. So you need to have some kind of a mesh, so to speak, between our personalities. So I think you need to interview agents and see who works the best for you.
That's a good point, because sometimes it doesn't fit, and sometimes you're wondering, now I'm stuck in a contract for, you know, another 3 or 4 months, and
Right.
you know, you feel a little frustrated
Absolutely.
about that. Yeah.
As realtors and salespeople, I mean, we face rejection on a day-to-day basis. You know, you're not going to hurt our feelings, and we understand. And if you, as a seller, say, "I'm sorry," you know, Mr. Realtor, I've chosen to go with you know, someone else. Okay, fine. You know, we got our shot, and we got up to bat, and you know, we move on.
Okay. So then you're pretty good at dating then. So if you're so used to
Well,
it,
yeah.
Speed
you know,
dating.
Yeah, we can do
speed
speed dating.
dating.
Yeah.
But seriously, you were talking about, when you choose an agent, and then, for first-time home buyers, for people who are really going out and looking to buy their house for the first time, what can they do to prepare themselves for that first purchase, and what do they need to get pre-qualified, for a mortgage?
Well, I think that's kind of, you kind of almost answered this first question with the second question there.
Yeah.
I mean, the best thing for a first-time home buyer to do is to sit down with a financial person, be either a mortgage representative from a bank or a person with a mortgage company. Go through the qualification process, see how much, see what your requirements for down payment are going to be, see what type of mortgage you can afford, and what type of monthly payment you can afford. So when you're going out there to look, that this is what I can afford. We have the National Association of Realtors is going to have in early June an open house weekend, and it's going to be June 4th and 5th, and it's a great opportunity for first-time home buyers because there are going to be so many open houses out there, and there's going to be blue balloons that are going to be showing these, signifying this house is open and it's open for viewing, and it's a great opportunity for first-time home buyers to get out there. If they know what they can afford, they can go out, they can look, and they can really get a good handle on what they can live with and work with in today's market. So that's one way, definitely. Okay. And again, on our website too, the realstorynj.com, there's a lot of first-time home buyer tips there too.
Excellent website.
Yep, it really is.
And obviously, there's a tax incentive too.
There is overall. The first-time home buyer tax credit was that went away last year,
right?
And that was a very successful program. And when you look at year-over-year housing stats in New Jersey, in the Northeast, we're down some.
Right.
And people go, well, what happened? Geez, the market really is sliding. Well, maybe that isn't quite it. What it is that there was such a bump we got in the market last year for that first-time home buyer tax credit. That was a real plus. I mean, there are definitely, the benefits of home ownership are always out there. The tax benefits, the mortgage interest deduction write-off that you get, the wealth accumulation. I mean, it's over time. The average home price does increase. Even in today's world, we've had a bit of a slide. Nationwide, it's an increase over time, and in New Jersey, the home appreciation rate is 5 times that of the nation's average. So in New Jersey, we've really got a good way to, number one, get a tax benefit, and number two, to build equity over time. So that's a real benefit, and that's what first-time home buyers should be looking at too.
That's good to know. A lot of times, people want to know what adds value to their home. What are things that adds value to the home, and what doesn't add value to your home?
Absolutely, kitchens and bathrooms are the biggest bang for your buck on renovations, and outside landscaping today. Again, going back to the young buyers, they love the hardscaping. They love that area where they can do outdoor entertaining. But just a general rule: if I go in and they need to declutter, those things cost very little. A fresh coat of paint in neutral tones. Take up the old carpeting, and a lot of times you would be amazed how much we find beautiful hardwood floors under the old carpeting. So for very little, you can recoup monies on a sale end of a house. But the big numbers are kitchens and bathrooms and hardscaping.
So that's where you should go.
Yeah.
That's it. Yep. That's definitely it.
That's good. That's good. As we get further along, the housing market has changed over the last couple of years. There's been a lot of pluses in it, and there's been a lot of little downsides that people are getting used to. If you had a crystal ball, where do you see the housing market going and real estate going in the next few years? What do you see as the future?
I think, Lou, that it's as I talked about earlier, there's a lot of benefits to home ownership, tax benefits and wealth accumulation and appreciation. When we're talking with buyers down in my area, again down at the shore, it used to be a few years back when things were booming. Hey, we'll sell your house this year. It's going up at 1.5% a month. We'll sell it in a year and you'll make money. That's not today's world. That's not where it's going to be. But can you get a good buy in today's market at a good interest rate, get quiet enjoyment of your home, some tax benefits, and have a roof over your head, and sell it in 5 to 10 years and you know, make some money and move on, yeah, I think that's a definite. So, you know, I think there's some real optimism in the market today and some real positives looking forward towards the future.
What's one of the things, Joan, a lot of times people are having trouble now qualifying for a mortgage. And is there anything that they could do, because banks seem to be holding back a little bit as far as processing. So is there anything that we can discuss today to talk about, you know, why it seems like it's getting harder and harder to you know, qualify for a mortgage?
Lou, you're right. It absolutely is getting harder. The difficulty is that the rules are changing daily. One of the big ones is regarding your current credit score, and people close accounts. Well, if you close accounts, a Macy's card, a Kohl's card, it drops your credit score. That never was the case before. And another thing is, if you have something on your credit, you know, maybe a doctor's bill that, you know, you're arguing and you're challenging, and it's on your as a charge off. Well, now you should not pay that off. You need to pay it off at the closing table, because now when you pay that off, it becomes an active ding on your credit. So it can drop your credit score as much as 100 points. Now the banks have asked, FHA, which is the Federal Housing, has done a minimum credit score from 580 up to 640. So that's a substantial change. So if you had a 650 and you pay off a charge off and it drops your points 100, you're now below the minimum allowable score to get a mortgage. Conventional mortgage is in the 700s. So it has become more difficult to obtain a mortgage. They're dotting the I's and they're crossing the T's, and it has made it more difficult for young people to get a mortgage.
So you think a lot of sellers who know if a buyer is going a conventional mortgage versus, say, an FHA mortgage, they're more apt to go with the person who's going the conventional?
Well, they shouldn't,
Right.
because
Yeah.
right now we're doing, I think my Mercer County sales are probably 85% FHA.
Right.
So the changes in the lending and it right across the board. Another big thing that has impacted sales, say, well, why are the sales off in the higher end homes?
Right.
Well, there's no documentation loans. So what does that mean? That means self-employed people. And it's not just doctors and lawyers, but the guy that owns the gas station, the guy that owns the beauty shop, the real estate agents. You know, we are self-employed. That loan that we use to obtain our financing does not exist today. So that buyer is completely out of the market. So now you've not only made it tougher for the, you know, homes for under 200 buyers,